If you're an international student or graduate in the UK and considering venturing into entrepreneurship and applying for the Innovator Founder Visa, this video is for you. I'm going to share some practical tips with you that will help you avoid some very common mistakes and increase your chances for obtaining an endorsement for the Innovator Founder Visa. This is actually based on my own personal experience of being a former international student in the UK and navigating the business immigration journey and ultimately obtaining settlement and British citizenship. I'm also doing this consulting for over 2 years now, and I've worked with founders on the Innovator Founder Visa and other startup visas around the world. So let's get into it. Now, as always, I would like to begin the video with a brief introduction about me, especially as this video is targeted to international students and graduates. So I moved to the UK at the age of 17 on formerly the student visa was called the Tier 4 visa. So I moved on a Tier 4 child visa all on my own. And I spent about 5 years in the UK on the student visas. So I did a foundation, and then I did my bachelor's degree, and then my master's degree at Newcastle University. Now, at my time, we actually weren't lucky enough to have the graduate visa for 2 years. We had to find a job or switch to another immigration category within 6 months of finishing our course. So it was much more challenging, so to speak. Now, I applied for the former Tier 1 Graduate Entrepreneur Visa, and I obtained an endorsement from my university, Newcastle University. And my tech venture was a student accommodation booking platform, actually. And we did quite well, to be honest. So within 3.5 years, I grew the business to about 30 UK cities. We almost closed a funding round by early 2020. But when the pandemic happened, I had to shut the business down, unfortunately. So food for thought that you could do everything right and by the book, and things can still go wrong. This is just the nature of entrepreneurship, just so that you're aware of what you're venturing into, so to speak. Anyways, afterwards, I transitioned to business consulting because this business immigration journey was something that I successfully navigated myself, resulting in British citizenship. So I've pretty much been through the entire process, so to speak. So that's me. Obviously, if you want to know more about me, you can visit my website. But for the sake of the video, let's get into the tips for switching from the graduate visa to the Innovator Founder Visa. Now, the first tip that I want to share with you, and this is a common misconception and mistake that a lot of graduates make, and that is that you should be aware that the Innovator Founder Visa is not just an immigration pathway for you to stay in the UK because you didn't find a job. I understand how tricky and challenging it is to find a sponsored job. And I understand that you've invested time and money in the UK and you possibly want to build a future over there. I'm not judging you for that at all, and I completely understand. But the reason why I say this is that this visa requires first of all, a lot of in-depth research and business planning, but also you will require a lot of commitment after you get your endorsement, presuming that you get one. Okay, so don't think that, oh, okay, I'll get this 3-year-long visa and then I'll think what to do afterwards, or I'll just buy some time and everything, or I actually have this business idea and I'm pretty sure it will go well. This is not the right approach to do it, because first and foremost, let me tell you, 3 years will pass by like that, okay? I'm telling you this as someone in his early 30s, so I'm getting a bit older now, and I've been through this whole thing of entrepreneurship and being an international student myself. So don't think you have 3 years time and then you'll think of something. This requires a lot of pre-planning and preparation, and you have to really account for every possible adverse scenario. So don't view this as just another visa to remain in the UK, because you're going to have checkpoints with the endorsing bodies at 12 months and then at 24 months. And obviously, you need another endorsement for settlement. Now, in those two checkpoints, if you don't meet the targets that you specify in your business plan, they can withdraw your endorsement, and obviously, you will lose the visa. So please keep this in mind. This is not just another route to buy time in the UK. So that's number one. Secondly, what I want to talk about is using your time wisely on the graduate visa. You have this advantage of having 2 years in the UK. Presuming you're watching this as you just got your graduate visa, unfortunately, a lot of people will start considering this route very much well into the 2 years and upon its expiry. But anyways, the time that you have in the UK, you have to use this time wisely, okay? And I recommend doing the following. First of all, you have to get practical experience. So that's number one. And two, validating your business concept. That's number two. And three, networking. Now, let me elaborate on each one in more detail. First of all, you need to understand that this visa doesn't just require a good, innovative idea, okay? It's not just about the idea. It's actually highly dependent on you as a founder and whether you have the right attributes and skills to launch and scale the business successfully, okay? So if you're just a fresh graduate with no practical experience, I'm not saying that you can't scale a business. I was that person. I was a 22-year-old founder with a laptop when I started my tech venture. And somehow I did manage to scale the business successfully. I can't really blame myself for the pandemic. So I'm not saying that there is no chance, but for the endorsement itself, there is the criteria of viability, okay, apart from innovation and scalability. And with viability, part of the focus is on the founder, whether you have the correct direct experience to make the project a success and whether you have the hard and soft skills to make the project a success. So you really have to keep this in mind, that it's not just about the idea. Now, what I would recommend is to use this time to get practical experience, ideally with startups, okay? And there's a lot of ways you can do it. You can start with your university's career office. So I would say every university has one, and they list internships and work experience opportunities. So I would highly recommend utilizing that, first of all. And if you can't do that, then go and try to get experience within a startup, even if you have to do it for free. I'm not really a fan of free work at all. I'm fully and principally against free internships and that sort of stuff, but we have to look at the purpose here. And the purpose is for you to maximize your skills and knowledge. So worst comes to worst, just do it for free. That's what I would recommend. Secondly, presuming you have a concept, use this time to conduct secondary market research in the UK. Okay, the market research that you put in your business plan, it shouldn't just be desk-based primary research where you find some statistics about the market size and opportunity. You actually have to go out there and talk to potential stakeholders, i.e. your customers. Okay, so it's very important to use this time to validate your concept. Now, how you do that, that really depends on your idea. There is no straightforward or general answer that I can tell you. Again, that really depends on your business idea. But what I would say, the key thing is to validate your concept. And you're privileged to have this time in the UK to do so. Third point, and I will say this not just to graduates and international students, but to anybody considering entrepreneurship. And that is to network, network, network. I said it 3 times. And there is a reason why I say that. One thing I've learned, okay, and I've learned this through almost a decade. And you can learn it here in less than a minute in this video. using my experience. And that is that entrepreneurship is highly reliant on relationships and who you know. Okay? You can have the right concept, but if you don't have the right relationships or you don't have the ability to develop the right relationships, your idea is potentially useless. Okay? So go out there and talk to people. Okay? First of all, you can make very good contacts by doing that. Number two, you will learn about the business culture in the UK. Okay, cultural awareness, it's a big thing, and you need to be able to integrate into this environment very well. Okay, so go on networking events, go on careers fairs, go on especially business networking events. Those are pretty good. And generally surround yourself with other entrepreneurs, ideally in your sector. You will learn a lot and you will thank me for this later. So there's that. Thirdly, and one of the most important points and one of the most common mistakes is do not leave this to the last minute. Don't leave it to the last 2 or 3 months, okay? That's not enough time to do all of it. So please avoid this mistake, okay? As I said, going into entrepreneurship and especially going into the Innovator Founder Visa category, it requires a lot of pre-planning, okay? You have to come up with a concept, presuming you have the concept, you have to go and validate it, you have to develop your business plan, and you have to adjust and modify the business plan afterwards. This will all take time, okay? So I would say invest at a minimum 6 to 12 months before your visa expiry, ideally even more than 12 months, okay, into doing this, because leaving it to the last 2 or 3 months, you won't be able to get everything done. Most likely you won't. There's always exceptions, but as a general rule, I can tell you to avoid that mistake. So these are the tips, about the practical tips so far. Lastly, what I want to tell you, and I'm going to tell you this as an immigrant who has ventured into entrepreneurship in the UK and pretty much remained in this path by far, because it's just something that when you do, most likely you will just stay in this path all your life. Now, of course, there are people who try the entrepreneurship thing and realize, oh, it's not as glorious as they thought it is, and they just go and apply for a job. So, and I want to tell you that entrepreneurship is risky, okay? It's very unpredictable. There is a reason why most people don't go for it, okay? Otherwise, everybody would love to be their own boss and make their own money and set their own hours and everything. And the problem with a lot of content on social media is that people glorify this entrepreneurship phenomenon overall because they're probably trying to sell you some courses or get you to consume their content. And what better way than to just sell you false optimistic dreams? I don't want to do that. I want to give you practical experiences so you don't go and waste your time, money, and most importantly, the best years of your life into doing something that you end up regretting. So please understand that entrepreneurship is risky. You can do everything correctly. You can even scale the business correctly, and then some adverse external event completely outside your control, in my case, the COVID-19 pandemic, can happen and can just completely ruin your business. So keep this in mind, that you should be aware of what you're venturing into. Okay? Now, on the point about switching to jobs, this is another one. And this is something that a lot of people don't understand. And that is that once you go into the entrepreneurship journey and the longer you stay in it, the more chances you have of becoming unemployable. Okay? And there is a reason for this. And the reason for that is that employers in general, they don't really like entrepreneurship, especially in the UK. This might be a different case in other European countries or the United States, but in the UK, it's slightly frowned upon, okay? And the reason for that is that once you've been in the entrepreneurship for a considerable amount of time, from the point of view of an employer, you're a potential liability. You're just applying for this job for the short term to get some money and then leave, which employers hate because it will cost them more money to rehire somebody else. Or you're actually there to steal ideas and to steal their clients potentially. Doesn't matter how many skills you have or how skillful you are or how competent you are at the job. It's not about the skill. It's just that this will be a red spot in your resume. So please keep it in mind. For many people, it takes years to find out about this. And I just told you that in a few minutes in this video. So these are the tips so far. Now, if you need help on the Innovator Founder Visa, on the endorsement, on the business planning, on developing a viable commercial strategy, you're more than welcome to work with me. So please visit my website for more details. The first point of service that I provide to every applicant for this visa is an evaluation session. Now, in this session, if you have a business idea, that's awesome. So I can evaluate the idea and its prospects for endorsement. If you don't have an idea, then what I can do is to guide you through the process of what the endorsing bodies require, and also guide you on how you can actually develop a business idea depending on your background, your skills, your circumstances, and also your interests. That's actually very important. A lot of good business ideas are born out of the founder's personal interests. I hope that helps, and I'll see you later.